Welcome to Tired Mommy Revival. Hey mama, are you running on coffee fumes? Feeling like brain fog, fatigue, and anxiety are running the show? Do you wake up dreading the day ahead, already overwhelmed by the endless to-do list and unsure how you'll make it through? Do you long for the energy to enjoy motherhood and care for yourself, but feel stuck and unsure where to start? Let me remind you of something life-changing. You were created for more energy, more clarity, more joy. Hi, I'm Jerusha, certified holistic wellness coach, wife and mom to 2 wild boys and 1 baby girl in heaven. I know the exhaustion you're feeling because I've been there, barely making it through the day, relying on coffee and chocolate to survive, and wondering why nothing I tried ever made me feel better. Then, God stepped in and revealed a powerful truth. A woman's body is beautifully and uniquely designed to thrive. When we align with how God created us, we can boost our energy, bust through fatigue, and step into the vibrant, joy-filled life He has for us. Mama, I'm living proof that it's possible. These days, I wake up refreshed, nourish my body with intention, and navigate the chaos of motherhood with patience and peace. Most days. And I want to help you do the same. If you're ready to swap exhaustion for energy, brain fog for clarity, and guilt for grace, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into practical strategies, faith-filled truths, and empowering tools to renew your health, body, soul, and spirit. Are you ready for this? Let's do it, mama. Dinner might be the classic battleground for veggies, but here's the thing, mama. We're not about to ditch dinner time nutrition. If breakfast has shown us anything in the series, it's that veggies can totally flip the script and set the tone for the day. In lunch, with a few simple swaps, it can be easier than you thought. But dinner, that's where the real test comes in. And instead of giving up or giving in, let's talk about how to make dinner time realistic, simple, and nourishing. So today, I want to share easy ways to get veggies onto your family's dinner plates. Some of these ideas are obvious, some are sneaky, but all of them are simple. And most importantly, they'll help you get more nutrition into your kids without meltdowns and stress. But if your kids are still fighting you on any tiny green speck in their food, make sure you go back and listen to episode 39 because that's where we covered how to build a healthy food culture in your home, and it's a total game changer. We talked about more than just healthy plates, but healthy mindsets around food. But today, we're going to talk all about the food. So let's jump in. Here's the thing. I love veggie loaded breakfasts. In lunch, we keep it a little lazy, but elevate it with some simple swaps. But dinner time is where I've built intentional habits around veggies, and that didn't happen on accident. But honestly, this episode was one of the hardest for me to map out. Not because I don't have ideas, but because these habits feel so normal now, it was kind of hard for me to pick out what we actually do different now. Years ago, when we were at the beginning of our healthy journey as a family, I put a lot of time and effort into researching, testing, and refining recipes so we could find things our family genuinely loved. But fast forward to today, it feels easy. And dinner time is no longer a battleground. It's just what we do. And mama, that's the encouragement I want you to take away. It might feel hard right now, but it won't always be this way. I wish that I would have had somebody years ago to tell me it was going to be okay and that all my hard work would pay off. And to be truthful, even if I did have someone who said that, I'm not sure I would have believed them. But once your family's palate expands and you've got a few go-to recipes in your back pocket, it gets easier and easier. Consistency really does pay off. So fight the good fight and stick with it, mama, because if you don't give up, it'll pay back tenfold. Okay, let's dig into some practical ways to make dinner a win. The first tip is honestly the simplest, which is cold veggies. And salad finds its way into this category too. I can't tell you how many times I've realized I forgot to plan a veggie side and just toss together a quick salad. And you know what? It works. It's easy. It gets veggies on the table in minutes. It's not even cooking, it's literally just assembling. And as a mom, I can always use a few more things to make my day easier. Now, we always keep spinach or salad mix in our fridge. I buy the big container from Sam's Club because it's affordable and lasts us a while, and we use it in everything. My husband sautés greens with his eggs in the morning. I'll toss them into my lunch, and they go into dinner as either a side salad or chopped up into whatever else we're eating. So we always manage to use these regularly before they go bad because we've made habits and routines around incorporating them into our food all the time. If your kids are new to eating greens, or maybe if they're not, they might still be resistant to eating a salad. And who can blame them? Who wants to maneuver giant green leaves into their face and then try to do all of that chewing? But this is overcome with a really simple hack. All you have to do is chop up the greens smaller. I know it seems like such a no brainer when I say it, but let me tell you, this is a game changer. Think of those greens like spinach, more like herbs. Chop them up really small so that your kids can actually scoop them up with a spoon and eat them. And then add toppings like tomatoes, cucumbers, or shredded cheese, whatever your kids like, and add in some dressing. Don't stress about what kind of dressing they're eating on their salad. If the dressing helps the greens go down into their bellies, then that is a win that's worth every bite. But if salad is just not happening yet, that's okay. Start simpler with something like just a tomato and cucumber salad without the scary greens, or just try raw veggies with dip. Put out a tray of options on the table and let your kids pick what they want. Then celebrate those brave moments when they try something new. And this is important, even if they don't end up liking it. And for kids, trying new foods is really scary. So it's important to recognize when they're being brave. Even if they don't like the veggie at first, it's okay. Let them spit it out. Let them say no. If the only thing they will eat is carrots, but they tried a mushroom today, celebrate that, mama, because you want to encourage them that you see how awesome they're being and you want to associate trying something new with this reward center in their brain that will help them do it again in the future. And when you put a menu of options like a little veggie tray out on the table and you allow them to choose what they want, you might actually be really surprised to see what they pick up when they probably wouldn't eat it if you just put it on their plate. When it's out in the open and the options are there for them to decide, they're actually more willing to try things than if it showed up on their plate because it feels like they don't have a choice. Always make sure to put at least one veggie that you know your kids will love out on the tray, and then put more options out there the more they warm up to other veggies too. All right, let's move on to tip number 2. Another strategy that works wonders is hiding veggies right into the main meal. It totally takes away the scary part of making it its own thing that they have to eat all by itself because it's in the warm, comforting environment of all these other flavors. One of my favorite mix-ins is frozen riced cauliflower. And that's because it looks and feels so much like rice that when you mix it in, no one notices. Now, here's the thing. We're not substituting rice for cauliflower rice because obviously they don't taste the same, but the trick is to mix it in because texturally it's going to melt right into the texture of rice and it soaks up a lot of the flavors around it. So like last week I made brown rice and I added some chicken broth and salt and pepper. But also you can add it into things like Mexican rice or turmeric rice, and the cauliflower will soak up even more of those flavors and become even less noticeable. Also, if there's a sauce involved, it's even better because it helps disguise the cauliflower even more. Last week, we made honey soy chicken for dinner, and it had this beautiful sauce that we poured right over the rice and the broccoli, and my family never even knew that there was cauliflower in their rice. And at this point, I don't have to hide the veggies. I could tell them they're in there and they won't fight me on it. But it's just nice to sneak in extra nutrition. It definitely feels like a mom win on my part when I know they're getting extra vitamins without the fuss. I also like to use cauliflower rice in casseroles. I like to make a cheesy chicken, broccoli, and rice casserole, and the cauliflower rice blends right in. No one even knows it's there. And if no one knows it's there, there's nothing to even fight about. Cauliflower rice is seriously a mom win in the kitchen because one, you don't have to prep it. All you have to do is pull it out of the freezer. It has no color, so you don't have to worry about the fight over anything green. It's an incredible veggie packed with nutrition, and it's already chopped up small for you, and it will soak up the flavors around it. So the more flavor a dish has, the easier it's going to be to hide the cauliflower rice in there. And honestly, when it's easy for you to make and easy for you to serve, that is a mom win through and through. All right, let's move on to the next trick about adding veggies into your main meal, and that is putting veggies into a sauce, particularly a pasta sauce. Tasha Butler from Natural Nurturer, one of my favorite veggie-loaded food bloggers, has a recipe for a tomato sauce that sneaks in 5 different veggies. And you may not believe me, but you would never know they're in there. Seriously, you guys, it's incredible and it is a total game changer. Now, it is a little more work to make, so I like to make a big batch and then I freeze the extra in mason jars. It is so satisfying to serve spaghetti knowing your kids just ate half a day's worth of veggies without even blinking. I guarantee you they'll never know they're in there, and it is so satisfying. And it is so delicious. Okay, mamas, let's move on to tip number 3, and that is to sneak in greens the smart way. Now, greens can be tricky because kids see the green in their food and they automatically panic. But here's the thing. Part of it is probably in their head, but another part of it might be that when they pick up the green food, they see this stringy, limp green thing that looks gross and is often texturally gross too. But here's the trick. Chop them up tiny. I mean, chop that kale like you were chopping parsley, really tiny. You can do it with a knife, or you can toss it in a food processor and let it do the work for you, and it will be a lot faster. When you add greens into food at that size, they melt right in. There's no slimy spinach strands or chewy kale, just extra nutrition. You can add them into spaghetti sauce, soups, stews, or pasta dishes. And if your kids are past the whole green is evil thing, no one will notice, but their bodies will thank you. One of my favorite tricks is to make a dish that we call red orzo. I don't know what it's actually called. I'd have to look at the original recipe, but it is basically a dish that is so delicious and amazing. It has completely replaced spaghetti. We don't even really eat spaghetti in our house anymore. It's made with orzo, which is pasta that looks kind of like rice. And it's got ground beef and a creamy tomato sauce. And it's just really beautiful and absolutely delicious and 10 times better than spaghetti. But we also chop up spinach and put it in there. Let me tell you, this dish is so tasty and so satisfying that I almost guarantee you nobody will pick out the green things in your food. I can't promise, but I can tell you that it's so delicious that they might be tempted to eat it even though they don't like the green things. So the trick is to sneak them in there, make them small, make them kind of disappear into the food as much as possible, and then you can get greens into almost anything. And here's the amazing part too. You don't need to go find new recipes that incorporate greens into food, because what's even harder than trying a new vegetable in your food is having to try a completely new recipe. Sometimes they turn out, sometimes your kids like them, sometimes they don't. So what's even easier is to take the staples that your family already loves and then incorporate more greens into those things. I can't tell you how many times I've made a typical soup or stew or a pasta dish and then thought, oh my gosh, I can add some greens in here. What do I have in the fridge? I'll chop up some spinach, maybe some kale if we have it in the garden, and just toss it in there, and nobody is the wiser. And for the last tip number 4 is to mix it up with new veggies. Mama, try to find some new veggies to enjoy. If broccoli has become the hill your child is willing to die on, then take a break from it. Instead of sitting there trying to force them and coax them to eat this food that you know that they don't like, just take a break and move on to something else for a little bit. Try some roasted carrots or a baked sweet potato with cinnamon honey butter or sweet potato fries. Sometimes a change of pace makes all the difference for your kids and for you, mama. It will feel like you're serving up so much grace at dinner time. If you have a couple nights where dinner gets a little easier, it will feel like a breath of fresh air to give you some energy back so you can come back and try that broccoli again later. All right, so if you're listening to all of this and you're thinking, Jerusha, I still need more ideas. I don't know what else to make. I've got you covered, mama. I've been curating Pinterest boards full of veggie-packed family dinner inspiration, and they're here for you anytime you need a spark. You'll find recipes, easy swaps, and dinner ideas that match exactly what we've been talking about: simple, nourishing, and kid-friendly. So if you want to keep building your recipe toolbox, head to my Pinterest boards linked in the show notes and start exploring. It's one more way to take the stress out of dinner and make veggies normal in your home. So mama, if dinner feels like a daily drama right now, I promise it won't always be that way. With consistency, practice, and a little creativity, veggies can become normal. I promise. Dinner becomes easier, and your kids will grow to enjoy the foods that once felt impossible. This isn't about perfection, it's about steady progress, building routines, and finding what works for your family. Keep at it, mama. You're doing the legacy work of shaping a healthier future for your kids. You've got this. Mama, I hope this episode blessed you and reminded you that you were beautifully and uniquely made to thrive. If today's conversation spoke to your heart, I'd love for you to take a moment to leave a rating and review. Not only does it encourage me, but it helps more tired mamas discover the hope, healing, and energy they've been searching for. You're not in this alone. Make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Together, we'll reclaim your energy, renew your health, and revive your spirit, one step at a time. Until next time, remember, you are beautifully designed by God to live with energy, clarity, and joy. You're not just surviving, mama. You're stepping into the vibrant life you were created for. I'm cheering you on.